Do not try any of the experiments you are about to see at home.
You heard him. Don't do it.
On this groundbreaking episode of Mythbusters,
Oh man, someone here didn't flush.
Adam and Jamie get down and dirty
Whoa, gross.
as they tackle two viewer tales about toilets. First, there's hot air, as the guys try to solve a classic hand-drying dilemma.
Yeah, I do this in every airport I get to.
Then they flesh out which communal cubicle is the most contaminated.
Oh, this is nasty.
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
That's science.
and Jamie Heineman.
I'm ready.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Grant Imahara, Carrie Byron,
Always makes you feel dangerous.
and Tori Belleci.
There's something you don't see every day.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, it's time to get down and dirty.
Hang on. Sorry about that.
I won't ask what kept you.
Yeah, call of nature. But get this, while I was sitting there, I was thinking of a couple of toilet stories that we could test.
Seriously?
Yeah, the first one involves those blow dryer jet dryers in public restrooms that are supposed to be super sanitary.
Yeah.
There's a myth going around that they are in fact less sanitary than a regular old paper towel.
Huh.
The second one involves testing which stall in a public restroom is in fact the cleanest.
Great. We get to spend time in a public restroom. Do you mind if we start with the hand dryer first?
Not at all.
There are over 12 million hand dryers in the U.S. alone. So can they really be a hygiene horror show? Well, the theory to this myth is twofold. First, dryers supposedly purge fewer pathogens than their paper counterparts. And second, they can also fan a fog of microbe miasma that's a contamination catastrophe. But will this myth be hot air?
This story doesn't make any sense to me.
How so?
Well, if you're drying your hands, that implies that you've washed them.
Absolutely.
And if you've washed your hands, you've removed all the bacteria. So whether a drying method is cleaner than another is irrelevant.
Right, I see your point, but only some people use the full soap and water for washing their hands. Some people, they just get their hands wet before drying them off. Why don't we test both of those and see which is the proper worst case scenario for testing hand towel versus dryer?
Okay, that works.
So how do people wash their hands? Well, to my way of thinking, there are three things people do in a restroom regarding washing their hands. The first is they pretend to wash their hands. The second thing people do is get their hands wet, but use no soap. The third thing people do, and the thing we all know you should do, is wash their hands with soap. So first things first, Jamie and I are going to wash our hands using each of those techniques and compare the bacterial loads to see if Jamie is in fact right. Does washing your hands in soap and water leave them completely clean?
And first to go is Adam, who after each cleaning custom hands over to the Heineman.
I'm swabbing Adam's hands with a soy-based growth medium. So if there's any bacteria on his hands, I'm going to find it.
Once Jamie's also swabbed for science, it's time for some germination.
Okay, Adam first. The process is pretty simple. We've collected our samples. We spread them evenly across soy agar in a petri dish, and we put them in an incubator. We're going to let them sit there overnight. We'll come in the morning and see what we've got.
And sure enough, 24 hours later,
Let's see what kind of surprise we have.
All right, well, the soap wash,
Nada.
frickin' nothing.
yep, the soap plate's great, which cannot be said of the water wash.
How come your bacteria are bigger than mine?
Sometimes that's just the way it works.
And as for the no wash,
Whoa, gross. So the whole reason we were doing this test is because Jamie suggested if you wash your hands with soap and water and it eliminates all bacteria, who cares about the drying method? There's no bacteria to be more or less clean with. And it turns out he's right. Look at that. Washing our hands with soap and water yielded no bacteria that we could find on this petri dish. But when we only pretended to wash our hands, when we rinsed them in water but used no soap, check out what we found. So this is the method that we are going to use to test the cleanliness of air dryers versus paper towels.
And the first task for that test is to rustle a restroom.
We're here to test whether air-powered hand dryers spread germs around a bathroom more than paper towels do. And so, of course, to test that, we need a bathroom. One bathroom coming up.
It's all hands on deck as the guys set up an experimental setup.
We call this hiding the crime. See? Ugly seam? Pretty seam. It's just that easy.
With a sink,
Perfect.
and a room divider, a blow dryer, and a towel dispenser,
It works.
they're banged up bathrooms ready to lend this myth a hand.
Yeah, that was the last paper towel. And it looks like you're gonna have to get some more. Those hands look pretty wet. I don't want to tell your business, but that was the last paper towel. Yeah. How you doing?
Can the humble hand dryer really create a pathogen paradise, or is this myth bathroom baloney? To find out, the Mythbusters have rustled up the recipe,
I do this in every airport I get to. Yeah.
and it's almost time to get cooking.
The myth is that drying your hands with an air blower is less sanitary than using a paper towel. In order to test this, we'll be putting a bacterial marker on the hands of each of our 16 volunteers and then swabbing them both before and after they use each of these devices. If the myth is true, we should see far more bacteria on their hands after air drying than after using the paper towel.
With the volunteers to hand, next Jamie's special brew can be uncorked.
This is a culture of E. coli bacteria. Now, E. coli can sometimes be harmful, but this particular strain was designed by a lab that's completely harmless. All our participants will be immersing their hands in this stuff, and it'll create a consistent bacterial load for all our testing.
It's all hands to the pump
Now, flip them.
as Jamie applies the same amount in the same way to get the same bacterial load.
Excellent.
And with that, the mother of all washing wipeouts can begin.
All right, first person, please.
Volunteer 1 steps up to get swabbed,
Thank you.
then washed,
1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000.
then swabbed again.
Left hand again, if you would, sir.
Next, he heads for some towel traction, which is followed by one last swab.
Science.
Next.
And so the pattern repeats
Thank you very much.
as all 16 volunteers get sampled before washing,
Excellent.
after washing,
Thank you.
and after towel drying.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
To say it's a little repetitive is an understatement.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
But to really see a pathogen pattern, a solid sample is essential.
48 pieces of data down.
Nice work.
Thank you.
With 48 swabs, the guys are exactly halfway through. So it's onwards and upwards.
Here we go again.
With the bacterial load reloaded, the entire swab mob hits the washroom once more.
Very strange. Our test subject group seems to have developed its own ritual.
Like last time,
Next.
the volunteers swab, wash, and swab, before this time turning blue with the hand dryer. But will this different drying device really let microbes make hay?
Number 16. There it is.
Well, with the final test finally done, the guys have a hunch.
You know, I am noticing something sort of interesting.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing that I've been noticing.
Well, I'm smelling the odor of the growth medium a lot more now because the air dryer's aerosolizing the stuff, I think. And I didn't smell it before with the paper towels.
I'll tell you what I've been noticing. I notice a lot more wet hands. See, it takes longer to dry your hands with the air dryer, but people aren't taking that extra time. Thus, they're coming back here, and their hands are wetter than with the towels.
Both the smell and the clammy hands suggest that the dryer is not eliminating pathogens from people's palms. But what does the data say?
Here it is. All of our data gathered from 16 test subjects on both the air dryer and the paper towels. 96 pieces of data in all. And this isn't everything that we're gathering today.
Because we're not just concerned about spreading bacteria on people's hands. We're also going to test the immediate environment around where they dry them to see what, if any, bacterial spread there is there as well.
So Adam gets down and dirty with one final swabbing sequence.
But there's a lot right here.
As he collects 10 samples from identical points in each bathroom.
Well, let's get these back to the shop and start growing some bacteria.
I've got my incubator warm and ready to go.
That sounded creepy. Let's go.
24 hours later, with bacteria sprouting like there's no tomorrow,
There's a lot.
the guys count every colony
59, 60, 61. Lamb.
in every sample
Here we go.
before they're finally ready to wrap up the results.
All right. The great hand towel versus air dryer debate. The results are in. Are you ready to hear them?
Sure.
Pretty stunning. When we had our test subjects dry their hands with the air dryer, they were able to reduce the bacterial load on their hands by 23%.
Okay.
But when we had the individuals dry their hands with the hand towel, they were able to reduce the bacterial load on their hands by 71%, almost 3 times as much.
That's amazing. But that's for the individual. What about for the environment?
Well, when we swabbed the area around the air dryer, we found a total of 41 colonies of bacteria. When we swabbed the area around the hand towel, we found 3.
Which yet again indicates that the air dryer is spreading more bacteria than the hand towels.
Indeed, they do. This myth is totally confirmed. The claims of the air dryers just don't hold up.
It's just hot air.